Hi everyone, it's Claire from Earth Animal Communication. This is another short video to talk a little bit more about learning animal communication and some of the things that you will encounter when you first start to do this work. And certainly when you first start to learn it, because like everything, it is both a skill and an art, and it takes time to learn. One of the things which I have found is that people, when first seeking to master this art and to take the first steps into learning animal communication, they realize that it's not something that can be learnt overnight. And it surprises me how much pressure people actually put on themselves to learn animal communication well and accurately in a very short space of time. Whereas the truth is, as with so many things in life, to really develop consistent accuracy in animal communication, one has to be prepared to learn both the process and to deal with the blocks which come up, as I touched on last time, and to be willing and able to consistently practice. And over time, the accuracy rate generally improves and gets better and better, and you understand how animal communication works for you, and you begin to develop what I call the discernment muscle, so that you begin to learn what it feels like when a communication is on point and when it's off. Which brings me into the subject of this small video, and that is the principle of discernment. And this is something which people find challenging and difficult, because what one is asked to do in animal communication is to discern when a communication has been accurately received and when a communication is slightly off, or whether there are parts which are accurate and parts which aren't quite right. And so one has to be able to learn to discern. And one of the brilliant ways, and it's a way that I use consistently when I teach this, to help you to learn what it feels like to get accurate and consistently on point communication, is to have verification and validation. And this can help you step by step grow that discernment muscle, which is so important. And the way that I do this is when I teach people animal communication, first off, I use my own animals because I've got a lot of animals here and I know them well. And so whether it's through photographs or in person, I get the students that I teach to work with my animals first. I get them to ask questions that I know what the answers are. And so what that does is it provides a validatory process for the student, for you, to begin to know what it feels like when you've got something accurate and when you haven't. Because the truth is, and this is something that we all have to encounter, whether with animal communication, whether with psychic development, whether with inner work or spiritual unfoldment, we have to come into the awareness that so often we spend most of our day in our waking life in our mind. And the mind has the potential to have very strong projective tendencies. So we project into the environment what we want to see, what we want to believe, what our fears are, what our anxieties are. And as with many things in animal communication, this is also true. Because when we're learning animal communication, we have to ask the question, if we're getting 10, 15% accuracy, what is the other 90, 85% filled with? Usually that is because the technique hasn't been sufficiently learnt and practiced, which takes time. So you're not really connecting with the animal. So that's one thing. But another aspect and area is that because that connection is still fragile, because it's early days and you're learning, to fill the gap, your mind will automatically step in to create a communication, because the mind likes to control and to fulfill any anxiety gaps or any gaps that the desiring mind has, because we want so desperately to learn animal communication. So what I find is, with all of us when we start this process, that a percentage of the communication we'll get, if we get anything, will be a small proportion of accuracy, and the rest is projection of our own inner biases or desiring or anxieties or fantasy or social societal prejudices or wishful thinking about the animal or the species that we are communicating with. And this is totally normal. I think people get worried about this aspect of it, especially when people know that when they do a communication that it's going to be validated by me as a teacher. But to turn that round is such a positive thing, because it actually positively helps you to start to learn to develop your discernment, and consciously helps you to develop the felt sense inside of you as to when you've received something accurately and when you haven't. You know, discernment in so many spiritual traditions has been one of the main key principles which students were taught, because discernment then ties in with our inner truth mechanism. And it's so important for us to be able to discern what is true and what is not, what is the right thing to do and what is the inappropriate or detrimental thing to do. As with animal communication, when I'm receiving this image, this felt sense, is it accurately from that animal? Or am I actually subtly projecting something onto that animal that I'm afraid is there or I want to be there? Or is what I'm picking up actually the shadow of the cultural bias towards that animal? And so when you learn animal communication, as well as connecting via the heart in a holistic, felt way, at some point in the process after that, we need to bring in a level of critical thinking and discernment. And that's exactly what I help you with, so that in time you get confident about your ability and capacity to clearly and accurately connect with all of those wonderful animals that you want to do communication with. Well, I hope that helps, and get in touch if you would like some more information about the teaching and mentoring work that I offer, and I will be in touch again soon. Take care for now, guys. Bye.